Okay, once again, good day, everyone, and thank you very much for having us here. We are the SecurityGen. So today I'm here, Dmitry, I'm the technical director, and my colleague Kirill, he is the manager of this product, the artificial cybersecurity expert. This is what we are going to describe to you, our first breach and attack simulation platform for telecoms. But first, since SecurityGen is a kind of new kid in town, just a few words about us. So SecurityGen is a cybersecurity startup. We are focused on securing the telecom infrastructure. But saying telecom, I mean that our goal is actually to provide the real and adequate level of protection for any kind of communications and mobile communications like 5G or infrastructures, whether it is industrial or enterprise, based on it. And the final goal is to make it impossible to happen all these threats and risks from cybersecurity, which are totally unacceptable for digital businesses nowadays. As I said already, we are headquartered in Rome, in Italy, but to a much extent, due to the remote work is common nowadays, we are able to find talented people across multiple regions. And even though we are quite new on the market, we are almost 50 people, and we are distributed across 11 countries nowadays. Of course, in our team, we have developers, we have engineers, sales, and experts, mainly cybersecurity and telecom specialists, who are responsible for different type of research and consulting. And this is pretty much how we actually found the idea of artificial cybersecurity expert. So I'll give you a quick background of the current market status and challenges that we see. Okay, yes. From the very beginning, as usual, sorry for this, it's about digital revolution. It has started over 30 years ago, right? It's ongoing, and many can agree that it's now when it is in the full swing. No need to prove this, I believe, given the amount of interesting solutions that were presented at Rocco Innovators in the last 2 days. A lot of them were actually created specifically to streamline this digital transformation for MNOs. So similarly, the second fact is that new technologies and the way we use it are introduced at a very high speed. And so obviously our dependency on digital services and technology is increasing. And here people may actually argue. Some will say that we are totally okay with this fact, but others will say that we are not. And let's say, bring just a couple of challenges from the cybersecurity world which prove this. The challenges are, here it is. First of all, that business is actually obsessed with time to market. And this, for sure, it requires the high speed of implementation. It's good that we have approaches helping us to streamline the process today, but there is always a trade-off. If the technology or service readiness is not there yet, then highly probable that the trade-off will be about the cybersecurity. The second thing is that governments and regulators are not ready to accept the high level of dependency as is, whether it is dependency about technology, specific vendor, or specific product. So they use their main tools they have. They introduce additional rules, additional compliance or security requirements, which is totally not bad, I would say. It is also needed. But I'm using this example because their actions reflect the mode of society somehow. It's concerns about the privacy, data protection, surveillance, reliability, safety. All these things are there. And the last one, let me give the example. For instance, according to Gartner, worldwide cybersecurity spending was about $150 billion in 2021. And at the same time, according to Joint Research Center of European Commissions for Science and Knowledge, cybercrime costed the world about $6.2 trillion the year before, in 2020. So you can compare these figures, right? So I would say that readiness for the digital future from the cybersecurity point of view and its efficiency is very, very questionable statement. And speaking about telecom world and telecom community, as Florin actually raised earlier today, he totally nailed it. Network firewalls by itself isn't enough to protect the network. Telecom security experts, well, they're rare and expensive. We definitely see the lack of security monitoring implemented. And it seems like analysis of the actual state is really infrequent, but security needs to be assured 24/7. And to top it all, there is always a paradigm of an iceberg. This is the way we usually see, process, and address any kind of the issues. And telecom world and 5G is not an exception. There are some visible things which are more probable to be resolved, like authentication on the radio, like protection of ICT components on the network, specifically if it is about management. Supply chain security is there. This is just to name few. But there are also less visible parts. Core and edge network, interconnection interfaces, APIs, cloud, virtualization systems, container management, a lot more. If possible, malefactors, they are knocking on the back doors and not trying to be not noticed on the front one. So if by now you think that I already tired you and you think that still it's very geek and techie area, and you think that would be nice to to offload this to someone, so this is exactly where we are focusing. First of all, to prevent cybersecurity issues, to understand what, where, and how can strike if there are any issues in the network, to know how to manage priorities, because with cybersecurity, priorities is always the case because there are too many tasks to resolve simultaneously. And for sure, cybersecurity, unfortunately, was never kind of a transparent, feasible process. We are trying to change this in order to bring this transparency, to explain that it's feasible and it could be an efficient process. And that's it to say that these are the primary goals that artificial cybersecurity expert embraces. So this solution is a breach and attack simulation platform for telecoms. And just like an eye in the sky, it's created to see the network, to see the main assets, and pay specific attention to crown jewels, and continuously inspect if there are any vulnerabilities, if there are any protocol deficiencies or misconfigurations, which may lead to any kind of cyber risk exposure or fraudulent activity, or anything else which can introduce negative impact for services, for subscribers, and so on. In a nutshell, what it does, it performs real-time simulations and inspects if there are any relevant threats for the infrastructure. It performs the analysis, it compares the collected data with knowledge base and data sets that were collected by our experts during, let's say, friendly offensive security audits of other networks. And the most important part is that it provides the remediation guidance how to address existing threats according to priority. And of course, the entire process is fully automated with multiple integration options with Security Operations Center, with security orchestration, automation, and response systems, all for the purpose to continuously implement the security controls and control the security posture of the infrastructure and turn it finally into the process which is like business as usual operations without too much extra efforts. So let's take a peek. Kirill, please, over to you now. And I think
Thank you,
will be
Dmitry.
able to,
Yeah,
click
I
through
can
some.
navigate. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, so I'm actually going to explain a little bit more in detail how it actually works under the hood. So we can actually split the process of inspection into the 5 steps. So the first one is the solution actually need to identify the threat landscape and what exactly it's going to be able to do the inspection for. So it's about the networks, like with the help of the customer identifiers that he provides, the solution is able to understand like which kind of networks are available for the inspection, which kind of devices and network nodes are really there. So the second step is the execution of the simulation of real attack scenarios itself. So it will be performed specifically with the accordance to the selected inspection plan. So the BAS solution actually provides some predefined inspection plans, but of course, every customer has the possibility to actually construct any kind of set of methods and techniques, and let's say save a unique inspection plan for future usage. So after this kind of simulation is performed, the solution is actually able, by the network response and behavior, is able to understand the status of vulnerabilities and risks and list the outcome, for example, which kind of effect this specific technique actually had on the network, which kind of information, sensitive information, has been disclosed, were there any DOS effect on the subscriber or the network element, etc. And with all that information in hand, it's actually generates a security posture results in the form of report with providing all the information regarding the severity level, description of threats, the how to fix details, and risks. So to top it up, like while you have all that kind of information, in order to make this process as a full cybersecurity wheel, it actually enables you to activate continuous inspection of the let's say specific inspection plan, and it's going to be performed automatically, and it's going to compare and check the effectiveness of any configuration changes you're going to be doing on the go. So, for example, like tuning your border devices, making configuration changes, like applying some rules on the firewalls, etc., etc. So while you're doing that, it's going to be automatically testing and providing you with the comparison results and differentiated reports. So let's have a glance at actually the interface, like how the MNO is supposed to use the platform. So as a first step, I'm going to log into the cloud. So again, this kind of solution is can be deployed at any kind of cloud. So it may be Google, it may be Azure, Amazon, etc. So dependent on, let's say, which kind of, let's say, security policies are implemented for specific MNOs. So after you log into the platform, you're going to see a preset of some ready-to-use inspection plans. So, and you're allowed either to build your own or to use the existing one. So, for example, when I choose, let's stay on the fraud-oriented inspection. So what it mean in a nutshell? So this inspection plan actually contains some fraud checks. So emulation of real attacks in order to understand if your network is vulnerable to different type of frauds. It's actually aggregated by the protocols, by the network generations. So I'll just go ahead and click run the plan. And after it's being performed, I'll get an overview of the results, like how many techniques of doing the fraudulent A2P termination were successful, or like data charges evasion, or premium rate number redirection, etc. So for all the protocols, and of course, this tool will give me an opportunity to actually overview the details of specific checks, their outcomes, and the most important is I can go ahead and click to the recommendations, like how I'm going to fix it. So, for example, here we can see that using the internet packet data services on behalf of other subscribers were actually vulnerable for the 5G networks using HTTP2 protocol. SMS interception is actually secure, like call redirection is vulnerable. And let's just focus on one of the last ones, like application to peer termination was actually successful. So you know that there are many bypass case happening even in the nowadays network, and the hackers actually utilize the network vulnerabilities to do the frauds, and this is an example of it. So if the breach and attack simulation was able to penetrate the network, I'm not really aware, without any kind of security monitoring, if that really happening right now. And the solution actually provides the recommendation detailed steps of how to fix. So basically, if we are gonna observe it more carefully, it will also provide you with some kind of blocking rule in order to be integrated via API and automatically sent. So, for example, it can be any kind of network traffic managing tool. So it can be like your border devices for configuration. It can be some kind of firewalls, or even the SIM SOAR solution that actually, let's say, manages the incident. And this is exactly the information can be transferred via API or some other protocol. And I think the last step I would like to tell is the most important, part. One of the most important part of this of our solution is the knowledge base. We are really proud, let's say, bringing the expertise of specialists with, let's say, decades of experience in mobile security specifically. And this kind of knowledge base actually bringing like more than 300 unique data sets of the network tested. And this specifically gets our solution to learn like how to more efficiently execute different attack scenarios. And which is more important, this knowledge base is being constantly updated. And as you know, the solution without expertise, without the keeping up to date with security, is not the thing you're really looking for. So yeah, over to you, Dmitry.
Thank you, Kirill. Super. Am I back? Can you hear me? Should
yes,
be so.
yes.
Super. So why actually it is about innovation? As a summary, I would say. First, because it helps to deliver security transcending generations from 5G to 2G. You know that life cycle of networks is quite long, so it is important to pay attention not only to top-notch technologies, but also for legacy ones in order not to turn it into the next backdoor for malefactor. Second, as Kirill mentioned, is about the database which contains these data sets, which is equal as if ACE has already started 300 networks. And you know, every network is wildly different. So it knows not only how to identify issues, but also how to protect it. And by the way, the pace of learning is increasing as ACE is not only inspecting the, let's say, big macro mobile networks owned by MNOs, but also inspecting private and local networks nowadays. Moreover, it is 3 times efficient, I would say, because it requires absolutely no deployment. It is in the cloud, which can be used as is or transferred to the specific country location, depending on the security policies. It is fully automated and propose multiple integration options with SOC, with source systems, and so on. And of course, it dramatically increases, let's say, the response and time to resolution. You know that security threat can be always estimated in terms of money, and time is money. So quicker we fix the issue, more we save. So, and the final one, it's about, let's say, influence. Once again, what happens when we eliminate threats and address risks? I'd say that today cybersecurity is not an alienated niche area. It really supports business. It brings assurance and confidence. And the very good change that I see during the last maybe 5 years, that people start to think that security is the mandatory requirement and should be treated as a component of quality. So with this solution, we hope to introduce soft positive impact for everything which requires connectivity: subscribers, IoT, enterprises, almost anything. And the goal is to have the protected, reliable, and nice to use services. So this is pretty much what it is about. And thank you very much.